Pursuant to notice, I now call up H.R. 3068, the Missile Technology Control Revision Act. This bill was circulated in advance, and the clerk shall designate the bill.
H.R. 3068 to amend the Arms Export Control Act to modify certain provisions relating to AUKUS defense trade cooperation and for other purposes. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. Section 1, modification.
Without objection, first reading is dispensed with, and the bill is considered read and open to amendment at any point. Without objection, the Huizenga amendment, in the nature of a substitute circulated to members in advance, shall be considered as read and will be treated as original text for purposes of the amendment. And I now recognize myself in support of the bill. The Missile Technology Control Regime was signed in 1987 as a non-binding political agreement designated to curtail proliferation of weapons of mass destruction delivery vehicles in the context of Cold War-era arms race. The MTCR is an outdated agreement that has been strictly implemented through the Arms Export Control Act. The current implementation of the MTCR has limited our ability to share missile-related technologies, such as advanced drones and space launch systems, with our closest allies. Meanwhile, Russia and China are exporting similar technologies with fewer constraints, harming U.S. competitiveness and preventing our allies from having access to the most up-to-date technologies. Mr. Huizenga's legislation would allow for expedited defense trade with countries the President determines should be eligible for certain defense trade exemptions. This will improve our partners and allies' access to advanced U.S. origin technology as we work together to successfully combat the threat posed by Russian and PRC origin technologies. Do any other members seek recognition? Representative Jacobs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the gentleman from Michigan's intent, but I must oppose this measure due to its detrimental impacts on global non-proliferation efforts, the vital importance of protecting and safeguarding sensitive missile technology, and the administration's lack of transparency about its own reportedly recent overhaul of the MTCR policy. The Missile Technology Control Regime is a decades-old political agreement the U.S. pioneered with like-minded G7 partners to limit the proliferation of missiles and sensitive missile technologies. Long-range missiles and rockets are among mankind's most advanced weapons of war and can be employed to deliver the most destructive payloads, including nuclear, chemical, or biological agents. The MTCR was instituted to limit the increasing proliferation of these destructive weapons, and more than 30 countries are now committed to these objectives. The MTCR provides a framework for standards and regulations, coordination and control over such transfers and exports, and mutually reinforcing safeguards. This bill would prematurely create exemptions from the MTCR for the most sensitive missile and drone systems on the planet and weaken the U.S.'s important defense technology controls enshrined in the Arms Export Control Act. Providing for unregulated, uncontrolled exports, even to close partners, for these long-range missile and rocket systems would undermine global arms control and encourage other states to loosen their constraints on such transfers as well. Last year, technical experts on arms control and defense technology at the State Department made clear their opposition to this measure, as did multiple outside organizations such as the Arms Control Association. This year, unsurprisingly, the Trump administration has spoken disparagingly about arms control and has reportedly completely revised its own missile transfer control policy while refusing to provide any details about its new policy to the committee. Supporters on the other side of the aisle may claim that providing additional flexibility or support to certain NATO or AUKUS partners with long-range missile or drone capabilities is necessary, but this is not the case. The administration has plenty of discretion to sell such weapons and capabilities to close allies and partners, and MTCR commitments have never impeded that. Indeed, such systems are routinely approved for transfer to AUKUS partners, including recent Tomahawk missiles, SM-6, Global Hawk, and MQ-9s. Additionally, while this bill would loosen arms control from the U.S. side, neither the UK nor Australia are planning comparable preemptive changes to their respective defense controls to allow completely license-free transfer of the most highly capable MTCR weapons. Any modification is best done jointly and in a thoughtful, coordinated manner among all partners, within existing authorities and through the multilateral MTCR structure. Preemptive removal of MTCR categories from important defense licensing controls will undermine the confidence of allies and other nations in our commitment to arms control and multilateral agreements. We are stronger together when we operate multilaterally to uphold important arms control agreements in the face of those states who wish to destroy such efforts. Therefore, I must oppose this measure and encourage all members to do so as well. I yield back.
Any further discussion? Mr. Huizenga, Mr. Huizenga.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to address this. The Missile Technology Control Regime, as you had said, is a Cold War era, non-binding, voluntary political agreement with 35 nations, including Russia. This regime was originally designed to curtail the export of controlled items such as ballistic missiles and cruise missiles, UAVs, and the production facilities of those systems. Oftentimes, the TCR has produced a strong presumption of denial on these covered technologies, even when exporting to our closest allies. Moreover, as technology has advanced and we have deepened our cooperation and collaboration on advanced technologies with allied nations through partnerships such as NATO, the Five Eyes, and AUKUS, the guidelines of the MTCR have not evolved to meet those new threats. For example, the MTCR operates through consensus, and past attempts to reform export policies have been unsuccessful when countries like Russia have the ability to veto any measures that they do not like. Additionally, the MTCR lacks independent means to verify whether member states are actually adhering to its guidelines, nor does it have a mechanism to penalize states that violate them. So last Congress, my bill, the AUKUS Submarine Transfer Authorization Act, laid the groundwork for implementing Pillar 1 of AUKUS. However, many are worried that the MTCR will stand in the way of current collaboration on AUKUS, especially on the Pillar 2 issues. And as the Representative Jacobs had said, there has been times where we have overcome that presumption of denials with the MQ-9s, the Global Hawks, the Tomahawk cruise missiles, with each of those, but was subject to an interagency review process that immensely delayed those decisions. So we cannot let this opportunity to enhance collaboration with our allies by hindering an overly bureaucratic process bogged down by red tape. And as such, the United States is ceding its sovereignty and allowing countries like Russia to influence how we can engage with our allies and partners. This does not advance the national security interests of the United States, nor does it make us safer, stronger, or more prosperous. The weakness of the MTCR is not only felt by our allies and partners, but also by U.S. companies. I'd like to submit for the record, Mr. Chairman, a couple of letters of support, one from the Aerospace Industries Association, and then the other from the NDIA, National Defense Industrial Association, and with that, the list
Without
of
objection.
with that, the list of their partnerships, and if any of my colleagues take a look, these are small companies that are in virtually every single one of our congressional districts and states. They're very, very widespread, and this is about jobs in the United States as well. But navigating the time-consuming and opaque process, losing the competitive edge as strategic partners move away from American products instead of choosing foreign competitors, and the lack of orbital launch site availability in the U.S. hinder agile defense startups with innovative technologies from entering the market, all of which is a detriment to the United States. In the time that the United States has subjected industry to a lengthy bureaucratic process, China has fielded countless ballistic missiles and drone systems. Meanwhile, Russia and North Korea are proliferating these capabilities in places like Ukraine, where the Defense Intelligence Agency has confirmed the appearance of North Korean missile debris. It's time to reform our approach on MTCR and foster enduring cooperation with allies and partners in the face of aggressive actions from our adversaries. The ANS on this bill, 3068, is simple and narrowly scoped. It removes the statutory requirement of the MTCR from the Arms Export Control Act, thereby allowing for expedited trade with countries that the president determines, any president, by the way, determines are eligible for a defense trade exemption. At one point I do want to clarify is that this bill does not withdraw the United States from the MTCR or the obligations of global security cooperation. It simply removes policy decisions surrounding the MTCR from the statute by allowing the president to exempt allies and partners from outdated regulatory burdens. The MTCR Act reflects the current security realities and needs to keep pace with the evolving relevance and flexibility required for success on the global stage. And with that, I urge support of this ANS, and I yield back.
Representative yields back. Any other members seek recognition? Representative D.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank the gentleman for his legislation, but I have to tell you that I rise in opposition to this legislation. Considering the ongoing Russian and Chinese goals to steal U.S. origin technology, the protection of advanced sensitive U.S. technologies from our adversaries must be our priority. It is our duty to uphold the international security architecture, including the full scope of arms control measures, both for weapons of mass destruction and conventional arms, to ensure the transparency, predictability of the world's most dangerous weapons. This also includes supporting non-proliferation regimes to strengthen safeguards and protect advanced and sensitive technologies from diversion and exploitation. While I support the importance of defense agreements with our close allies, the amendment proposed by Mr. Huizinga undermines the missile technology control regime and creates blanket exemptions for MTCR Category 1 covered weapons, such as long-range missiles, UAVs, and rockets. I recognize the need to adapt to the speed, scope, and scale of technology sectors, particularly in the defense industry space. However, we must ensure that any amendments do not undercut critical arms control and non-proliferation goals and our obligations or compromise our most sensitive defense industry information. I encourage my colleagues to join me in opposing this legislation, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Representative yields back. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, does any member wish to offer an amendment? There being no amendments, I move that the committee report H.R. 3068 as amended to the House with a favorable recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion is agreed to. Yes, Representative Jacobs.
May I request a recorded vote, please?
A roll call vote has been requested. Pursuant to the chair's previous announcement, this vote will be postponed.